Madison, I'm assuming you're getting close to leaving work, right?
I actually just left the office building, and I'm riding the bus home at the moment. Is there something that you need from me?
I see. Will that bus be going by the 8th Street subway station?
Well, the last stop is actually 8th Street subway station.
Well then, you can ride that bus all the way there this time.
And why should I do that? I don't plan on going shopping or anything today either. I just wanted to get home so that I could have some downtime before having to cook dinner.
Well, I want you to go to the department store for me, so you'll have to take a little detour, okay?
The department store?
A brand of purse that I'm really into just released a brand new style. I can't stop thinking about it and have been looking at pictures online of it all day long.
Okay.
So, I'd like you to go there and pick one up for me.
And how much is that new purse going to be?
I think around $1,300 or so.
$1,300? I'm going to assume that after I get home, you'll repay me for this, right?
Excuse me, are you saying you want to take your husband's parents' money from them? You are one awfully greedy woman.
But $1,300 for a purse is no small amount. If it was just for groceries or something you need, I wouldn't mind paying, but for a purse? Can you at least wait a little while until your birthday or Christmas to get it?
All I'm saying is that I want it now. That should be enough for you to go and buy it for me.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't just have $1,300 laying around for me to spend on that, so no.
Excuse me. Well, why don't you go to the bank and get a loan for it then? Or maybe just use one of your credit cards for it and you can pay it off at a later date.
I will lose the ability to buy food and things for me and my husband. But is that really what you want?
Huh? How does that have anything to do with my purse?
We'll be stuck having to eat really cheap food and won't be able to afford anything breaking down. But if that's what you want, then I suppose I can buy that.
How can you think that I'd let you buy cheap food for the family? I'm over this. I'm going to talk with Drew about this. I guess I was wrong for asking his moneyless and greedy wife to get me a simple purse. I just assumed that you working for a huge company meant your salary was good enough to ask for such a purse. But I should think twice next time before asking you for anything. It's crazy that I even allowed Drew to marry a selfish woman like you. Really, I was hoping he'd find a woman that knew how to treat her husband's family with respect, but I guess I was deceived by you in every way. I'm not going to let this go, Madison. I hope you understand that you'll be hearing about this again from me and Drew at a later date.
I don't think that Drew will just go out and buy you a $1,300 purse that easily either. Him and I are in the same boat of not wanting to spend money on needless things right now.
Well, unlike you, he knows how to save up money and has more than enough to buy his mom one present. I need to get in touch with him before those purses go out of stock. I've already heard that a lot of the stores in town are out of them, and I'm not going to let your selfish crap be what stops me from getting one.
This again, huh?
I knew it was the right choice getting myself this new purse. I heard that this was the last one they had in stock at the store. That was a dangerous situation I had to face. I was right to ask for Drew to go out and get me this beautiful new purse.
He really ended up buying it for you, huh? I should have known that he'd resort to being such a mama's boy.
Well, he didn't even trouble me with all that talking back, like you. So I'm glad that I stopped where I did with you and decided to ask him. Oh, this is so much fun. I just love sitting here feeling the natural leather. And this bag will complement that new red dress of mine so well.
I wish you at least think a bit more about other people's money before you start asking them to use it for you.
Well, it's all my son's money anyway, so I have every right as his mother to use it any way I please.
But there is a limit to that. And shouldn't you have money of your own? You're retired now and have a pension that you can use to buy that sort of stuff if you save well enough.
Oh, geez. You are such an annoying dog. I was feeling so wonderful to have my hands on this purse, and yet here you are ruining that feeling. I guess I could try to de-stress. I'll ask and see if he can get me a nice tote bag to match this purse.
Hold on. Do you not realize that we don't have the money to afford all of those high-end brand bags for you?
Well, listen, Madison. You guys do have the money. Or I guess I should say that Drew does. I know that more than you do.
What?
I think you'll soon start to learn about everything that's been going on with your husband and the wealth he's going to have.
Yeah? What do you even mean by that?
Well, as we get closer, you'll see what I mean. I hope that you start to prepare yourself for the future that's ahead of you.
Ashley? I just realized that a lot of the things in the house have gone missing. What the actual hell is this about?
Ah, you've made it back home. I only just got out of there a little bit ago, so that really saved me from having to deal with you in person.
But I want to know what's going on.
I'd like to think that you found the divorce papers that were left behind for you.
I did. They were sitting on the living room table right in the open for me to spot. But what the hell is up with this?
It's just as it looks. I want you to divorce my son immediately.
Wait, this is way too messed up that I can't even understand you. Can you tell me again what you said, but this time with a little bit more explanation behind it?
Drew is going to be getting married to a much younger and much more wealthy woman, so he's moved out of there into a gorgeous new estate.
Huh? A wealthy and young woman? And a gorgeous estate?
My son happened to come across a rich girl that happened to fall in love with him.
Huh?
Well, they started dating with the idea of marriage. And unlike you, she happens to let me buy things with her money and doesn't even talk back to me at all. This is when I expected you'd start to understand.
So this all started because of your desires of using someone else's money to buy all your brand items.
Sure did. She has a small fortune in her bank account, so buying what I want is no problem for her.
Who the hell even is this woman and where is she from?
There's that really nice part of the suburbs home to all sorts of luxury estates, right? Well, she happens to live right in the center of all those nice estates in a much larger and more modern mansion.
What? Really?
When I think about a rich and young woman compared to a moneyless middle-aged woman, she stands out like a star next to a rock. She comes from a completely different way of life.
Are you serious right now?
I am. Drew has no other choice but to leave the woman with no money in her account. It's only natural for him, after all. And then you can go live on your own at whatever place you can actually afford. Well, now that you understand the situation, I'd like you to hurry along with the divorce.
Understood. Thanks for helping me see this clearly. I hope you have a great life.
Yes, you don't have to tell me that. I'm already the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Angela, has there been anything crazy going on with you lately?
Oh, hi, Madison.
Are you okay right now?
Well, I'm starting to get the hang of what's been happening. Just a bit ago, Mom and her son seemed to be at the front of my house. They came right into my house with all these boxes saying that they were going to be moving in with me, and made quite the mess for me. Right now, I'm with my husband, and we are discussing everything that just happened. Madison, that man, he looks a lot like the man that's been stalking me for a while now. Actually, I think he is that man.
For crying out loud.
So, why do you want to know something about this happening to me?
Well, I think that man that's been stalking you is my husband. And he was most likely there with his mom.
What?
Was it a man that had a pretty lean body and looked in his 30s with a much older woman who was even more thin and looked within her late 60s? I'm sure it also seemed like the mom was in control of the situation and had him on a leash the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I saw. And actually, the man seemed to stand behind and let his mom do the talking. I guess that really must be your husband then.
I'm so sorry that my husband has stepped out of line and caused you this much trouble. It turns out that my husband thinks he is going to marry you and that he's allowed to just move into that house with you.
What?
I wonder if he has you confused as some sort of person with a lot of money that lives alone in an estate like that. And his mom seems to think that a person like you would just marry him and let her spend all the money of yours that she'd like.
Now that you mention it, his mom did go right up to my husband and said that her son is going to marry his sister, and that she is there to watch it all happen. But my dad only has brothers, and so this all seemed really strange to both him and me.
I'm sorry to have to ask this, but can you give me a little time to handle this? I want to have a chance to talk to my mother-in-law about this. Of course, if you can't manage giving me a little time, you're more than welcome to just call the police on them both. I don't really mind.
All right, I just hope you could get to the bottom of this.
Ashley, what the hell are you both doing at my friend's house? I'm talking about the woman that Drew plans to marry.
Oh my, so you do happen to know who she is?
She has been friends with me through both middle school and high school, and even now we still happen to go out every once in a while.
I see. So you really do have some deep connections to this fine woman. But could this just be you acting like she's your friend when she really has no idea who you are?
The only people that she doesn't know a thing about are you and your son.
Huh? What do you mean, Madison?
That woman is not the single owner of that house. Both her and her husband own it, and he's the one that bought it for them.
What?
Right now, the man that you've been thinking of as her brother is actually her husband that she's been with for a while now.
She's already married to someone?
Yes. I have been hearing stories from her for a while now about someone stalking her when she goes out or has the curtains in the house open. And then when he told me that the location of this estate was in a very high-end suburb and the house resided in the center of it with a very modern design, I knew exactly who you were talking about. And that's when I immediately started talking to her about you both. She told me that a mom and her son barged into their house, creating a whole scene saying that they'd be moving in with her.
Wait, does that mean that Drew has been the stalker?
That's what it seems like. And I think Drew misunderstood the fact that she is indeed already married to another man.
You're lying. My son has no reason to have done any of that.
For the time being, can you and Drew just get that truck out of their driveway and leave their property? If you don't and continue to be inside their house, they will have no choice but to call the police and have the both of you arrested for this.
Arrested? Drew and I? Madison! What the heck do you think you're doing? Where have you run off to? We both came right back to the house like you asked, and you are nowhere to be found in here. What do you think you're doing?
I have no plans on ever coming back to that house ever again.
Huh?
I took all my things and got them moved into a small storage container for the time being. And tonight I'm going to be staying at a hotel where I can take things easy without having to see either of you.
What are you talking about?
I had actually been thinking about divorcing Drew for a little while now, so I've been moving my things into that storage container little by little. But when I found out what you both did, I took that time alone to act.
Do you know what you're saying? I'm not going to allow you to leave my son.
Whoa, wait. Wasn't it you that went out of your way to put those divorce papers on the living room table for me?
Well, my son's no longer going to be marrying a young and wealthy woman, so what I wanted before is all in the past now. Now you get your butt back over here.
Well, I've already handed in all the divorce paperwork to the city office.
Excuse me?
And also, there's no reason for me to worry about either of you guys anymore, so your permission isn't necessary.
What?
You've already given me more than enough reason to leave you guys, so why don't we just stop talking to each other now?
What have we done besides putting a piece of paper on a table for you?
Well, for starters, Drew has been stalking another woman for a while now. And now that you both acted on who he assumed would marry him and let you guys move in, causing a huge mess, I just can't deal with you both. Also, me leaving you both probably won't be the end of your guys' problem.
Uh-huh. What else do you have planned for me and Drew? Madison! Can you please get back in touch with Drew for me? Your friend has come after Drew for stalking her for a while now, and plans to take him to court, and it's going to cost us a lot of money. And I had assumed that Drew had the money to deal with all of this, but he said he expected to become rich after marrying your friend. He had used up all his money while waiting to marry her, and has been borrowing money for the past few months. He told me that all the money I used to get those bags and purses was all from the borrowed money he had. So, I need you now, more than ever. The money that you have saved up could really help us out of this situation. I'll forgive you for everything if you just get back with Drew and give us some of your money. Please, Madison! You have no reason to say no to us, right? Madison, can you at least give me an answer? Hello?
The following day, I was met with both that stalker Drew and his mom showing up at my office out of nowhere. Luckily, I wasn't there as I had already told my work about the events that were occurring. And so they allowed me to work remotely and told both Drew and his mom that I was not working there anymore and had changed offices. They continued trying to ask the woman at the front desk where the office was that I moved to, but she continued telling them that she couldn't give that information. Also, now that I'm back at my parents' house with my dad, who used to be in the police force himself, I really have nothing to worry about from those two. And that was the last of my relation to the stalker boy and his mommy. All I've heard about them now is that they ended up having to take out even more money in order to pay off the court hearing and settlement from my friend. And that put them in a really bad spot financially. And also, because Drew was now officially known as a stalker, the company he worked for found out and ended up firing him. Now, while the two of them work to pay back all the loans they took out, both end up fighting each other over whose fault all this really was.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
Hey, Agatha. It's been a really long time. It's me, Charlotte.
What? Charlotte? Is that really you? My goodness, how many years has it been? I haven't heard from you at all since you left the orphanage and got married. You never even came back to see me. You had me worried. How are you?
I'm okay. Well, actually, I'm not okay at all.
Why not? What's wrong?
Listen, Agatha, the thing is, I got kicked out of the house.
What? Kicked out?
I'm at the police station near the train station right now. They're letting me use one of their phone chargers. I was so desperate to contact you. I feel so embarrassed having to ask you this, but can I come back to the orphanage? I have nowhere to go after being kicked out. There's nowhere else I can stay and no one else I can turn to. I don't even know where I'm gonna sleep tonight.
Oh, Charlotte, you poor thing. Of course you can. I'll have someone come out to pick you up immediately. Just stay where you are, okay?
Thank you so much.
What exactly do you mean when you say you got kicked out? This is all such a shock. Were things not going well at home? What the devil happened?
My husband Dexter and his parents used to be so unbelievably kind to me. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world to have such wonderful people in my life. Until we got married. When we did, he asked me to quit my job so I could stay at home and support him. It didn't sound so bad at the time, but he asked me to move in with him and his parents. And that was when everything changed. All of a sudden, his mom and dad, who up until then had been the kindest people I'd ever met, started treating me like dirt. It was like living with demons. They said I was obliged to be their family servant because they, to quote them, gave my miserable life meaning by adopting me. They forced me to work like a dog every single day from 3 a.m. in the morning to 12 midnight. I wasn't even allowed to take a break to sit down. All of my clothes and personal belongings from before I got married were either sold or thrown away. For no reason, I'd be ordered to get on my knees in front of them all of a sudden, and they'd all take turns yelling at me. If there was ever something they didn't like, they'd just throw away my food or personal belongings. If I ever complained, they'd yell at how I should just be grateful I'm not an orphan anymore.
Oh my God, Charlotte.
Today, Dexter brought home some young girl. What use are you if you can't even have kids? You're an abject failure, you barren wasteland of a woman. You had a duty to provide me with sons, how dare you? You ungrateful witch. We should have just left you in an orphanage. These were just some of the things he yelled at me in front of his new girlfriend. When he was done making me feel like I wanted to curl up and die, he told me they were getting married and ordered me to leave. He basically kicked me out with nothing but the clothes on my back. I lost 10 kilograms due to stress since I moved in with him. He rejected me every time I tried to go near him. I can't even look at you as a woman, you're hideous, was his usual reaction.
Oh my god! I can't believe you went through all this. As if bullying and emotionally abusing you wasn't enough, he cheated on you as well? No way. Was the reason I didn't hear from you since you got married because they confiscated your cell phone?
No, ironically, my cell phone was the only thing I did keep. I hid it because I didn't want them to sell that too. You gave it to me as a present when I left the orphanage, and it was the only thing I had that reminded me of you. There was no way I was gonna let them take it from me. I didn't have a charger though. The reason I couldn't contact you all this time was because my battery was dead. The first thing I did after he booted me out was to look for somewhere I could charge my phone. So that's how I'm able to message you now.
Oh god, what have they done to you, Charlotte? He will not get away with this.
I'm so sorry to trouble you like this. Ugh, it's so embarrassing to have to rely on you like this despite being in my 20s now. Even if it's just until I can find a new job and somewhere to live. Please, can I live at the orphanage again for a little while? I'll do chores, odd jobs, help look after the younger children, anything.
Don't be so silly. You don't have anything to apologize for. I'll always see you as my own daughter, and you'll always be welcome at the orphanage. If you want to come home, you can come home whenever you want to. What kind of mother would I be if I said anything otherwise?
Agatha.
Whether you find yourself to live or not, you can stay for as many months or as many years as you like. This orphanage is your home. I'm an old dear, well into my 70s now, so it's probably more appropriate to call me your grandma than your mom. But I'll always be here for you, Charlotte. Never forget that.
Thank you so much.
I'll run you a nice hot bath and cook you some meatloaf and apple pie and custard. You only have one job when you get here, and that's to relax, unwind, and forget about all the horrible stuff you've been through. Leave the rest to me. Good evening, Dexter. It's been a while. This is Agatha, the head mistress of the orphanage Charlotte grew up in. She just contacted me in great distress. It seems like we have some things to discuss. She told me everything about how you and your parents have been treating her like less than human, like your own personal slave since the moment you got married. On top of that, you cheated on her, brought your lover home, and kicked Charlotte out on the streets, didn't you? Tell me, did you ever think you were going to get away with such despicable behavior? It's obvious you've seen my messages. I can see the red marks, you know. If you can muster up the courage, you're free to respond at any time.
Shut your mouth, you old hag! I don't know a frickin' thing about any of this crap. That psycho is just fantasizing. She's crazy, I tell ya.
You only have to look at her to see it's all true. She's emaciated and has huge bags under her eyes. She's in a constant state of anxiety and fear. All it takes is a door opening to make her jump out of her skin. How does that happen to a girl who was once so fit and healthy, so outgoing, vibrant, and bubbly? She was a picture of health when she left the orphanage. She barely weighs 40 kilograms now. Her clothes were all tattered and worn out, and she hardly even had any personal belongings.
Like I told you, I don't know nothing about any of this. Anyway, even if I did do something to her, she was a miserable orphan, and me and my folks were kind enough to adopt her. Which means we can treat her however we goddamn want to.
Excuse me? Are you being serious right now?
Besides, what the heck does it have to do with you? You ain't Charlotte's mom, you ain't her gran. You're just some wrinkled up old hag sat on a high horse who thinks she can scare me. Something bad might happen if you don't learn to stay out of other people's business. You catch my drift, lady?
I'm very disappointed in you, Dexter. You seemed so sweet and kind when you came to introduce yourself before the wedding. I'm actually disappointed in myself for not seeing right through you. As Charlotte's guardian, I have a duty to make you pay for what you've done, and pay you will. Are you prepared for the hell that's coming your way?
Oh, I'm quaking in my boots. What's some wrinkled up old hag gonna do to me? You gonna chase me on your Zimmer frame? Write me a sternly worded letter? If you wanna do this, then let's do this. You wanna get taken down, lady?
Great, it's settled then. I'll make sure you remember what you just said to me.
Hey, Charlotte! What the hell did that old hag do? You got any idea how much trouble you're in, girl? You just goddamn wait! Answer me! I know you're looking.
Good morning, Dexter. This is the old hag. What can I do for you?
I ain't interested in talking to you, hag! Put me on to Charlotte now!
Charlotte's been looking after the children right now, but even if she wasn't busy, I wouldn't let you speak to her in a million years. What do you want? Make it quick. You seem to be in quite the panic. Anyone would think you received a court summons or something.
Aha! I knew it was you! You're gonna pay for this, mark my words, hag! The heck are you two trying to pull? Dragging me into court like some criminal! On what charges? I ain't done nothing!
It was patently obvious Charlotte was going to take you to court after the way you behaved. You've been summoned to take part in the divorce mediation on countless occasions by now, but you ignored the call every single time. You didn't show up to even a single meeting, did you? As a result, the mediation ended in failure, which means she had no choice but to take you to divorce court. Anyone could have seen this coming. If you'd have just come to the meetings, none of this would have been happening.
Oh, don't come at me with this legal jargon thinking you're all clever. I ain't playing your silly games, hag! Why the hell should I have to go out of my way to go to court to deal with some miserable orphan's emotional issues? I ain't no shrink! If you got business with me, then you come to me. I'm a busy guy. You get me?
Oh dear, you seem to be suffering from a severe deficient intelligence. You don't have to come if you don't want to, you know, if your time's so valuable and you really can't make it. Don't you worry yourself one bit. All that means is that you'll owe Charlotte $60,000 in compensation.
You what?
As a rule, if you don't show up to the trial, you lose the case by default, which means that you're obligated to pay the full amount of the claimant's requested compensation without even getting the chance to defend yourself. Let's face it though, even if you did show up to try and defend yourself, you still wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
What? Why not?
It just so happens that one of the children I raised in this orphanage is now a very successful lawyer. His area of expertise also just so happens to be divorce law. All it would take is one phone call. I do hate the idea of causing him a nuisance, but I get the feeling he'd drop everything if he had to help me in my time of need. Thinking about everything you did to her, harassment, bullying, cheating, stealing, as well as all the rest, this clearly isn't a fight you can win.
Whatever! This crap just ain't gonna stand up. It ain't got no legs. Harassment, cheating? I ain't got the foggiest idea what you're talking about. I ain't that kind of guy. If you ain't got proof, then you're nothing but a doof.
Well, now that you mention it, I also just so happen to have a friend who runs a private investigation agency. One phone call was all it took. I have enough proof to take you to court 10 times over. To give some specific examples, how about bring your lover back home to flaunt her in front of your wife, despite the fact you're still very much married? It seems like you're known as quite the womanizing sleazeball around the neighborhood too. I heard some very interesting stories. Not just the cheating either. Surprisingly, they even knew about the abuse too. Do you ever get the feelings your neighbors avoid you?
Huh?
Another one of the girls who grew up in the orphanage became a doctor. Charlotte went in for an examination at her practice and provided me with documentation on all of the physical damage you've caused her, all permissible as evidence in court. Do you understand now? We're certainly not going to struggle proving anything. Nothing you could possibly say will get you out of the 200-meter hole you dug yourself into.
You're lying! Ain't no way any of this is true. You expect me to believe a miserable orphan like her can afford to hire lawyers and private investigators? Oh, don't make me laugh. She ain't got the money to take me down.
It's true. You and your parents did steal all of her money and leave her with nothing, which is why I'm paying for everything.
You're doing what? Why the heck you gonna use good money on some waste of space with no parents? She ain't even blood to you. You gotta be kidding me. Ain't no one that stupid.
Whether we're related by blood or not means nothing to me. I raised her as if she was my own daughter. She's my family and I love her. What other reason do I need than that she's family? There's nothing I wouldn't do to protect her.
God freaking damn it! Alright, fine! You win, I'll apologize! She can have all her stuff back! I'll even give her some money to show I'm sorry, alright? We'll be square then, won't we?
Do you seriously think you're getting off that lightly? Don't be so ridiculous. If we're going to do this, and we are going to do this, then we're going to do it properly. No one lays their hands on my daughter and gets away with it. You're going to regret being born when I'm finished with you, boy. Surely you knew this would happen when you decided to victimize and abuse my Charlotte. Surely you weren't stupid enough to believe there'd be no consequences.
What? You threatening me?
I might not look much, but believe it or not, I used to be the CEO of a major company. My son took over when I retired, and he's running the show these days. I still talk to him regularly when he needs help with management-related things. I'm kind of like his personal advisor.
So what? You think I care about some crappy company?
Did you know that crabby company is your company's biggest client?
Say what?
I made a few recommendations to my son at the time you two got married, after I found out you worked in the same industry as us. As a result, he turned down some very generous offers from other companies in favor of establishing a major trading contract with yours. At the time, I thought I was doing a good thing by making a gesture towards my son-in-law, but clearly I made a mistake. I think it's time my son terminated the contract. It's not like it was ever in a particularly profitable contract for us, and to be honest, I regret allowing my personal affairs to get mixed up with my professional life.
Wait, what? What?
Don't get too excited yet, I'm not finished. Next, there's the company your dad works at. Another one of the boys who grew up in my orphanage happens to be the CEO of his company's parent company. Well, I say boy, but he's 50 now.
No, wait! You going after my freaking dad now? No, wait, you can't!
Oh, one more thing. You and your parents rent your house, don't you? You're not going to believe this. The coincidences are almost piling up too high now. But I also happen to be friends with a major real estate magnate. And you'll never guess whose house he owns. Yep, I could even make the phone call this evening. Which angle do you think we should go for? Refusal to renew? Mandatory eviction? Can you imagine if I made phone calls to all of my friends about you? Can you imagine how far you'd fall? I'm thinking you hit rock bottom before you even realized what was going on.
Oh my god, don't! Don't, please!
Let me spell it out. If I do decide to take revenge on you, you will lose all that you hold dear. You'll be lucky if you even get to keep the clothes on your back. Your blood will run cold with terror and you will be plunged into the depths of despair, hopelessness, and suffering. Doesn't that sound nice?
Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, I mean it!
Don't you think you're apologizing to the wrong person? And by text, really? Don't you think it'd be more appropriate to get yourself down here and beg for forgiveness on your hands and knees?
Yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. I promise I ain't ever gonna do anything like this again. I never thought it would come to this.
Your luck ran out when you made the fatal error of taking me for some harmless old woman. I'm not trying to brag, but I have friends in high places. Exterminating a wretched little worm like you would be child's play.
I'm so sorry, really. I'm so sorry. Please don't do it.
We'll be continuing this conversation in court through our lawyers. Goodbye. Immediately after that, Dexter and his parents rushed down to the orphanage in an attempt to apologize for their behavior. But the time for apologies has passed, and they were delusional to think otherwise. I told them they could apologize in court and sent them on their way. They would accept it and sat down on the floor outside the orphanage like petulant children, leaving me with no choice but to call the police. They quickly stood up and hightailed it out of there when they realized who I was on the phone too. Obviously, Charlotte won the trial. Dexter and his lover were ordered to pay a combined total of $75,000 in compensation. In order to come with the money, he and his parents were forced to move out of the house and sell all of their personal belongings. To add insult to injury, his lover, furious about being dragged into such a catastrophic situation, broke up with him no sooner than the trial was over. Now, last I heard, Dexter and his parents are living in an apartment so cramped and tiny they're like rats huddled together in a cage. Between his company losing their biggest trading partner as a result of a few choice words of advice to my son, and his reputation as an abusive scumbag circulating around the office, his work life is now a living hell. I was astonished he didn't get fired, but in a way, this is actually more satisfying. He deserves everything he gets, so I can't say I feel bad for him. Charlotte's gradually returning to her old, vibrant, bubbly self while living at the orphanage. She's helping me out by looking after the children and doing various odd jobs while recuperating. Here's to the start of Charlotte's new life. She deserves to be happy.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.